I learned an expensive lesson from a part-time job. A coworker started asking me for help with his community college coursework. I was attending a highly regarded university, and his assignments were easy for me, so I helped. But the requests kept coming. Eventually, he was putting off his coursework and expecting me to do it for him. I had my own priorities, but I kept making time for his. In return, I got an occasional meal or some hand-me-down clothes. This arrangement was obviously one-sided, but I let it continue far longer than I should have. Eventually, I realized I wasn't putting my own interests first. Maintaining this relationship wasn't doing anything for me. He was benefiting from my time and effort, while I was giving up time that could have gone toward my own priorities. The only thing I got from relationship was a lesson that became valuable. Have standards for the relationships you invest in. We set standards for our work. We set standards for the companies we buy from and the people we hire. We should set standards for our relationships too. One of the standards I care about most is character. Adam Grant makes a distinction I find useful. Personality is how you respond on a typical day. Character is how you show up on a hard day. When I interview someone, I often ask about the hardest thing they've experienced. I'm not looking for an impressive story. I'm listening for how they responded when things went wrong. Did they take responsibility? Did they adapt? Did they keep going? Character is easier to see on a hard day than on a good one. I also ask about their previous employment. If someone immediately starts blaming their previous employer, their manager, or their coworkers for everything that went wrong, I pay attention. Maybe their previous workplace really was bad. But if every problem was someone else's fault, there's a good chance I'll become the next person they blame. As Donald Trump puts it, someone who complains about their previous employer or the people they worked with may make you the target of those complaints if you hire them. The point isn't that someone who complains is necessarily a bad person. The point is to look for a pattern of externalizing blame. People who consistently see themselves as victims of their circumstances rarely solve the problems in front of them. They spend their energy explaining why they couldn't do something instead of figuring out what they can do. Accountability matters. Resilience matters. Honesty matters. These are not just qualities I look for when hiring. They are qualities I look for in the people I allow into my life. Because relationships compound. Spend enough time around someone who takes responsibility, keeps their word, and looks for solutions, and those behaviors become easier to adopt yourself. The reverse is also true. Someone who constantly complains, blames others, makes excuses, or creates unnecessary problems doesn't just fail to add value. They consume your time and attention. This was the part I didn't understand when I was younger. A bad relationship doesn't have to be openly abusive to be a bad relationship. Sometimes it's simply a relationship where the cost consistently exceeds the value. Once I recognized that, I became much more deliberate about who I maintain relationships with. And when a relationship repeatedly proves to be toxic, I end it. I don't need to keep checking their social media. I don't need to leave the door open for another conversation. If necessary, I block the number and remove the reminders that keep the relationship alive. That's not about holding a grudge. It's about removing the cues that pull me back into something I have already decided isn't good for me. You don't need to hate someone to decide they shouldn't have access to your time. You don't need to prove that someone is a bad person before deciding that you don't want a close relationship with them. And you don't need to maintain every relationship simply because it has existed for a long time. Your environment shapes you. Choose the people around you carefully. Give your time and energy to people who are accountable, resilient, honest, and constructive. And when a relationship consistently pulls you in the other direction, end it. The people you spend time with become part of what your life compounds into.